In today's episode of Audit Austin Code Compliance, let's revisit Todd Wilcox. He's a division manager for Austin Code. This is a follow-up with the Michelle Stark video. Michelle Stark totally blew her case investigation to protect the city of Austin, and she deferred her case over to Todd Wilcox, a division manager, as part of claiming it was a multifamily piece of property, which it's not. Todd Wilcox, I've done several videos on him. While he's a nice guy, he has drank in the Kool-Aid, and he will do anything he can to protect City of Austin property. He will not document things in a manner that is transparent and accountable. Let's take a look at the letter I got from Todd Wilcox concerning this property and see what he says. So on November the 9th, I sent an email to Todd Wilcox and Paul Tomasovic of Austin Code concerning 5120 South 1st Street. I said, hi, Todd. I see Michelle Stark has passed off this code case to multifamily, stating the property was zoned multifamily. I'm surprised after all this time and multiple audits that the basic skill of reading a complaint, locating the property in question, documenting one's findings, and following department policy cannot be accomplished. It has been 16 working days since her only and last entry. Can you advise who has the case now and what the resolution is? Or has it been shit-canned like most other City of Austin properties and placed in long-term limbo? Todd replied back to me. He also copied Paul Tomasovic, Matthew Noriega, who Michelle Stark talked with, and for some odd reason, he gets Troy Collins involved. And he says he was copied on an email from PARD saying the mulch was for a grant-funded trail and fruit tree project to connect Williamson Creek Greenbelt to Garrison Park, and that the mulch would be gone by November the 5th. He said he'll have somebody look into and find out if the mulch is gone. He doesn't address the issues. He just says he's going to find out if the mulch is gone. And again, this is typical Todd. What's interesting here was he says he was copied in an email to PARD, but yet in the case logs, there is no chain of events that talks about who has the case. Obviously, Matthew has the case. Troy's working it. But there's nothing in the log that states transferred to Matthew Noriega, transferred to Troy Collins. Nothing states received an email from PARD. All of this is happening behind the scenes. They are not transparent. They're kind of keeping these things off to the side as if the city of Austin never did anything wrong. Or the people who are developing these parks. A lot of times it's neighbors who have a great idea, but maybe they don't understand about the land development code, the floodplain, and all the other issues that come up. And somebody says, oh, it's the city of Austin asking for it. We don't need a site plan. Of course they need a site plan. Here's the property in question. We're talking about the community gardens here. You can see a few little compost bins here. This is October of 2013. Google Earth photograph. You can see there's no gardens right in here. There is a little bit of fill back in this way. 2014, again, maybe some compost bins, but nothing here. 2015, you start saying the community gardens being developed here in the summer of 2015. And here it is in February of 2016. The community gardens is a full-blown thing, and you can see this big pile of dirt that's been brought in down here. You can see that dirt's not here in this photo, but it's here now. And here's the big pile of dirt and all the debris that's being brought into the site. So again, it's very clear that there is no fill here in July of 2015, but you go back here in February of 2016, and then here's the pile of fill and all the other things that have been brought in to help create these above ground beds. With the Emerald Wood Community Gardens, and I'm standing in the city's right-of-way. is right through here. And what you see in front of you is an archway that is built in the public right-of-way. This meets the definition of a structure, which yet I don't know if there's any permits or a variance for this structure to be built on the city's right-of-way. There's a lot of these pots through here. The City of Austin water meter, this is where they just hooked up water. I don't know who pays for this. There's a lot of these buckets that are around. Some of them have standing water in them, like these. And others over here. The compost bin is buzzing with flies. The issue with this is it's in the 25-year floodplain. You're not allowed to develop inside of the 25-year floodplain due to displacing water issues. Speaking about water, we also discussed that we had standing water in buckets. And when we turned this into Austin code, they completely ignored this part of it. Not that I'm against community gardens, but all of this is impacting flooding in the neighborhood across the street. You see these big piles of dirt that have been brought in here. And you see the big pile of debris here. This wasn't here years ago. This stuff has been brought in to create raised beds. All of this becomes a dumping site for people who want to drop off their brush. They just come over here and say, "Oh, we're gonna compost it and put it in the community garden," and that's just not the case. There's no site plan for any of this. They've got a trail system that they're putting in. We've got picnic benches back here that are not anchored down whatsoever at all, and these picnic benches are subject to being swept away during the flood. So again, you need an approved site plan in order to do things like this, and they don't have it. This tract of land here is zoned multifamily 3, where the garden is zoned for a community garden, but again, you're in the 25-year floodplain. You cannot develop a piece of property inside of the 25-year floodplain without an approved site plan, which would come from watershed protection. We turned this into the city, and the city just ignored it. So this is typical Todd Wilcox and the City of Austin Code Department. Never treat the City of Austin like you would anybody else. If somebody has a problem, you go behind the scenes. You never put down anything in paper. You never document emails from the Parks Department in your case logs. You never want to show that the city has done anything wrong. You don't post anything on Case Tracker. Todd Wilcox is part of the problem within Austin Code and the corporate culture that looks the other way when the City of Austin does things wrong, but yet will go after retirees and minorities without a step. Todd knows well he was in court when Mr. Rodriguez was fined for developing in his backyard without a site plan, the same thing that the city is doing here. But he'll just grin all the way to the bank as he cashes his paycheck as he protects the City of Austin.